Hi guys, welcome back to Scrapping Scotland with me, Scottish Scrapper. Today I'm going to do a little scrapping session on inductors, or to be more precise, toroids, whatever, however you pronounce it. So you may recognise what a toroid is. It's essentially a piece of copper that's wound round a ferrite donut. And actually in the background you may see a very large version. So this is a very large toroid. Yeah, but these come in all sizes, so not just big ones like this. You get smaller ones like that. And you get even smaller ones like that. And really small ones, yeah. So they come in all different sizes. Now these are abundant on PCBs, yeah, they're all over boards. So you can find them lots of different places. You do get other types of inductors like these little ones as well. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to take all these apart and figure out the weight before we take the copper off them. And then, once we've removed the copper from the ferrite, we will see how much copper we've got. Okay, so I've got a bag here. We're not including the big one in this way, so we'll do the big one later. But I've got a bag here. More or less all toroids. There's a couple of little other inductors in there, but more or less they're all toroids. And this weighs currently 1300 grams. Okay, so I'm gonna take the copper off them and we'll see how much it weighs. Now to do this, don't waste your time unwinding it unless you want to keep the ferrite donut, but why you'd want to do that, I don't know. Personally, I don't. And I know a lot of people throw in their ferrite into their shred metal for recovery. So if you do that, fine, no problems. But don't waste your time trying to unwind it because it will take you forever, yeah? So for the smaller ones, such as something like that, just get a pair of wire snips, like so, and just snip it. That one went flying, I'll get that. So snip it without losing it. But once you've snipped it, you can then open it up and then just pull it apart to unwind it. Yeah. Take out that little white bit in the middle, whatever that represents. And then even then, it's easier to unwind. Sometimes you won't be able to just pull it right apart, but you can certainly unwind it a lot easier. And the good thing about the copper on these is usually they're quite thick. As you can see, that's quite a thick bit of copper. So they do add up. Okay, so I'm going to time how long it takes. And then we are going to see what it weighs. As I say, so the bag's 1300 kilos. We'll see what that equates to. Okay, let's get started. The bigger ones just hit with a hammer. Okay, that splits that in half, and then we can just unwind it. Okay, we've made a start. We'll bring you back when we have made some significant progress. So I'll just show you a couple of the smaller ones, how quick we get the copper off of here. So a little smash with a hammer and just pull it apart. Smash with a hammer. There we go, 10 seconds you've got your copper. Copper recovery couldn't be any easier. Okay, we'll take another one. That one was plastic, encased over the ferrite, so that one was a little bit tougher. But a couple of good smacks with the old hammer, and it bows to my will. The thing I like about this as well really is the thickness of the copper you get on most of these. Now you get a good yield. I know obviously most of the weight is the ferrite when you get these, but there is a good bit of copper in them as well, and like I say, the copper's quite thick and good quality, so I do pursue them. It's not the kind of thing I'd leave on a board and then scrap the board. I'd definitely take that off, yeah. Just to say guys as well, even better than toroids I think when it comes to the inductors, it's kind of these ones. This one probably isn't that long, but what you do find with these ones is there's quite a length of copper on them, you know. This one not so much because it is really thick, but that type in general usually has a lot of copper. One like this, for instance, a thinner one. With a toroid you get a couple of feet maybe of copper. With these things you usually get maybe a metre, 2 metre, 3 metre. Yeah. They are multi-layered windings. So find these things and you get lots of copper. Okay, so there's a little bit of ferrite that comes from. Okay, a little wheel. That's one length. Two lengths. 2.5 lengths. Okay, so probably about 1.5 meters in winding there. These ones are fantastic. They've always got a little bit of ferrite through them, and they're always on a plastic backing. And again, with these ones, you can unwind these a few ways. You can try and get the ferrite out, stick a little pencil through it and just pull it and unwind it, or you can just drop it and let gravity do its work. Or you can actually just sit and unwind it. So that's 1/2 of it. And again, I'll show you the kind of length as well. So there's at least 2 meters. There's at least 3 meters. And there's about another half, so I'd say about 3.5 meters on half of that. So there's only half of this winding and about 3.5 meters of copper wound round it. Okay, so that's 7 meters of copper if we unwind it all. Nice and clean. And then our lengths of copper. Yeah, smaller one. Same idea, but the copper's a little bit thinner. Sometimes as well they have a little bit of wax on them and it can be a bit of a pain to get started in terms of unwinding it. This one's not too bad. Well, this one's very thin, so if I kind of drop it and try and do the yo-yo effect with it to unwind the copper will just snap, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to unwind it. And again, this will be the same, it will be meters of copper. Obviously very thin copper, this one, but still meters, yeah, when you consider the tiny little thing it's coming off of. therapeutic, if time consuming. So a lot of people are probably looking at this and saying it's going to take them an awful lot of time. It's not going to get that much copper out of it, you know. These obviously were started off with 1300 grams. So realistically, you know, how much copper am I actually going to get back out of this, considering removing the ferrite from that 1300. Don't know the answer to that yet. That's why we're doing the experiment. But for me, it's not about the time spent. As you'll know, it's a hobby for me, so it's just about getting out and doing stuff. And unwinding copper is one of my most favourite things to do, because it all adds up, all adds to the pile. We're getting through it, but not as quickly as I'd like to. So unfortunately that one snapped, which makes it a little bit more difficult. So I just cut the top off of that one. Allows me to get back to the windings. So as you can see on my left here, or on the right as you look at it for the camera, I think, we are creating a little riverbed of copper wire. What I'll do is I'll just bunch that up into a little copper jobby once we've done, and then we can stick that on the scale and see what we've got. What's a copper jobby, you may ask? Well, it just means it's shaped like a poo. So we will do that once we've got all this stuff undone. So as I say, it's not completely toroids here, but inductors. I'm just trying to show you other things that you can get a nice bit of copper wire from without having to strip power cords and electric cable. There are other sources and other means of copper wire. Is still, of course, number 2 wire. It's not bare bright like you'd get in power cords, so just be aware of that. Okay, I'm going to crack on, and we'll come back to you shortly. Okay guys, so in the interest of getting this done, I've had to slightly renege on my promise of doing 1300 grams of toroid and seeing how much copper I got of that. We've cut it down to 1 kilo. Okay, so still in the bag, it's 300 grams of small toroids. Okay, which means I have done 1 kilo. Okay, and taken all the copper off the ferrite that held the copper on the toroids and these little inductors. So I'm going to bunch it all up and I'm going to stick it on the scale, and we're going to get an idea of how much copper you get back from a kilo's worth of toroids. Okay? Just clean that up a little bit. Okay, there's a copper jobby. It's a big jobby, be a Great Dane. Okay, big bit of copper there. Let's see what that weighs. So that's 259 grams. So it's under a fifth, really, of a kilo. Well, sorry, under a quarter. Okay, so that's that one. Now I've still got the ones from the bigger ones. Which is this lot. So I'm just going to wind that a little bit, just so it's a bit more easy to put on the scale. Okay, so that's on a scale. And that is 117 grams. So stick the one on top. Comes back as 378 grams. So when you think about it, you're losing obviously more than half to ferrite, but the amount of copper you're getting back from that, the yield is actually pretty decent. Yeah, so yeah, 362. I mean, that's pretty good in my opinion. So definitely worth taking them and taking the copper off them rather than leaving them on your boards. Yeah. Now obviously that's taken me a little bit of time. Let me see how long it's taken me. That's taken me a good, probably about an hour odd to unwind all that stuff. So if you're counting your time into the profit, then you know it's not worth it really. but I'm not, so I don't. And I've got more copper to add to the pile. So there you go guys, just a little experiment, as I say, on the inductors, specifically the toroids, and really the yield you can get back from them. What I will do before we go is we will do the same with the big guy, okay? So the big guy weighs 1,647 grams, so just over 1.5 kilos. Now with this one, this is more of an unwinding one. I could hit it with a hammer, but I want to see what the big donut's like underneath it. I also want to see if it's just a single layer toroid, which I imagine it is. I've never seen any of the multiple layers, so to speak, but we shall see. We'll see how long as well that I enjoy doing this before I end up just taking a hammer to it anyway. Yeah, in fact it's all getting a bit long, so I'm just going to do that guys. I'm just going to smack it with a hammer, break it up and get the copper off it. Although I'm saying that without the thought of it's wrapped in plastic as well, so it doesn't matter. So I'm still going to have to unwind it. I'll bring you back when it's unwound. Alright folks, well there it is. That's the windings from the Mega Toroid. So just want to see what that weighs now. I may have to change the battery though. Okay, we're back in business. So as I say, let's weigh this one now. See what that weighs. That's 201 grams. So almost like a kilo and a half less than the toroid weighs. The toroid is with it attached. So this is what's left. I do want to cut into this just to make sure there's no other wire underneath it, so I'll do that. Move that copper out of the way. Well, the good news is there's definitely more underneath. The bad news is my Stanley knife is a hook knife rather than a slicer. As you can see, nice copper underneath there as well. So at least 2 layers. Who knows what else there'll be.
I am hoping as well that removing this plastic means I can just smash it with a hammer. But there's a lot of plastic. Once again guys, I'll bring you back once this is unwound. Alright guys, so that's the first layer of plastic undone. What I have realised with this toroid is actually the core is steel, so it's not something that I can just smash like ferrite. Unfortunately means this is going to have to all be unwound as well, and there's an awful lot of it, so that's going to take some time. Something that you guys don't want to watch, obviously. So changed our tactic a little bit and just cut through it, yeah, because that'd have taken forever. So now, hopefully, we can unwind it a bit easier. So I'm going to get all this done and then I'll bring you back again. Okay ladies and gentlemen, so what I'll do is I'll measure the metal left from the toroid. And that is 1144 grams, meaning the copper that was included within this huge toroid was half a kilo, which isn't too bad. That's kind of what it looks like, all the plastic still attached. There we go, there's a copper from the second layer of the toroid. And that weighs just under 200 grams. So, got some enough items here. Just some of the loose bits that broke off that layer when I was sawing it in half. Clean up these little bits of copper lying about. And there we go guys. Okay, that's our haul from the toroids. Okay, hope you enjoyed that one guys. Thanks as always for tuning in to Scrapping Scotland. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and we'll see you on the next scrap. Bye now.